past. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Said I might be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like Kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When that's enough, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When that's enough, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, yeah, shoot, yeah, shooting, yeah, shooting, shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
Hello everyone, welcome to Tottenham Away, Friday show, STEL and Matt and STEL, any which way you want to work it. We're all here. We've got some guests with us today. We've got Cam from the Spurs 9501 podcast. We've got Brian Daigle, if you don't know who he is, where have you been, from Tottenham on tour. Guys, welcome. Cam, first time on the show. How you doing, my man? How's things?
Thanks for inviting me. I look forward to it. Things are good. I'm here in Kissimmee, Florida. Looking forward to talking about Spurs. We do a show regularly, Spurs 9501. You can see us on YouTube, podcast, wherever you want. Please subscribe, please view us. But we are there, and we are quite controversial sometimes. But welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Look forward to it.
I like that. We're sometimes controversial. Welcome to Tottenham Away.
I'm about to say, do you know what channel you're on?
Yeah.
Home of controversy. From one controversial man to another, Brian, how you doing?
I'm just misunderstood still. I'm just misunderstood. That's all it is. Yeah, not been well recently, but we're getting better. And same old stuff happening again at Tottenham, eh?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to get into it all. There's plenty to talk about. And the co-host, the man himself, Matt. Brother, how are you?
Yeah, really good. Really good style. Looking forward to another show. Lots to get through. Daniel Levy makes it makes it really interesting for us as Spurs fans. So I'm sure there's a lot to dissect, and just welcome to Cam and YouTube royalty and Brian. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Big up to everyone. Guys, there's loads in the chat. I'll quickly just say hello. We've got Jan in the house. We've got Lookman, Eugene, Huddersfield Town. Big up, Luca. We've got Disabled Team. Adrian's back in the comments after we finally figured out what went wrong on the back end. We've got Ray the Yid. How you doing? CMO Sports Connor. Big up. Like and subscribe to his channel. Swifty's in the building. George, how you doing, my man? Hope you're good. We've got Sammy and the boys. Benjamin, Mark Cook. Awesome, fantastic. Like, subscribe, follow the channel. Tottenham on tour, Spurs 9501. You know what to do. JJ, how you doing as well? Right, guys, look, I do want to talk football because this is a football channel, and we haven't spoken about Levy for a while regarding a controversial subject. But I do want to get out of the way because I've been very vocal. I've said what I wanted to say. But I want to get your views and opinions. And the topic we're first going to talk about is the ticket prices. Now, as everyone knows, ticket prices, season tickets are going up by 6%. And in a few years' time, the elderly concessions, the discounts for the most loyal fans is going to be removed. There's a lot circulating around this. Why are people so angry? Things are going up. The cost of living is going up. My argument is with the FFP kings, with the profit and sustainability champions, the chairman gets paid the highest salary. We've got millions and millions to pay managers in compensation when the chairman hires and fires them incorrectly. So why are fans being punished? Famous slogan, Bill Nicholson, we must always consider our supporters, for without them, there would be no professional football. This just winds up fans even more. The Liverpool pricing, ticket prices, when you look at the actual structuring, the most expensive season ticket at Anfield is £886, which is £200 less than our cheapest ticket. And I put a comment out saying the stadium build for me was all about money, an asset portfolio, greed. They're replacing the diehard fans with fans that want to spend more money over time. They don't care about you or me, and Spurs fans just basically go to hell. That's my stance on it, but I'm just painting the picture of all the angles that are coming in on this and weighing in on this. We will get into the Spurs Supporters Trust comments because they have released something today, but I want to make that kind of a segue into that. I want to get your comments first. So, Cam, I've got no idea how your channel feels or thinks about this. I don't know what your opinion on this. Where are you with all these ticket issues?
I'm in a really luxurious position here because being in the USA, I get to watch every single match live from the comfort of my bedroom, actually, because they come on so early in the morning. Wake up, put the TV on, and watch every single Spurs. Actually, watch every single Premier League game, and it doesn't cost me any more. So, why I do emphasize, I empathize quite a lot with the people there. I've actually lived on White Hart Lane myself, and I know Tottenham, and I spent a long time in Tottenham, and one thing that always did wind me up quite a bit was how many local people were actually going to the games. You see all these people coming in on the trains. So I live right next to the White Hart Lane station, and you see all these people coming off. But only the locals from all the places around Tottenham were actually going to the games, and I thought they were being priced out. Having said that, seeing what's happening at Chelsea, seeing what's happening at Arsenal, seeing how much money they're investing, we have to keep up with the Joneses as they speak. And, you know, I'm sorry to have to say it, but the fans are the ones that are going to have to pay. That's my view.
Cam, I just want to push back on that. We're going to make between £2.5 million to £3 million more by putting the ticket prices up.
It's peanuts.
Right. So exactly. So why do that? Why make that the avenue you go down to keep up, as you put it, with the Chelseas and the Arsenals? We could sell an academy player for £2 million and there's your money. We could sell 2 or 3 academy players. We could actually get a naming rights deal. We could perhaps try and sell the players that we release for a little bit more money. We can maybe not give players like Ndombele the money that he's been put on. So my point is, aren't there far better avenues to go down if you want an extra couple of £1 million a year to compete with Chelsea and Arsenal.
Well, you've got a manager that is going to, I'm sorry, a chairman that will squeeze every penny and every single thing that he can find. If he can squeeze the fans, squeeze somewhere else, squeeze it anywhere they possibly can. And we knew that right from day one. And if Levy thinks he can get away with it, which he clearly can, and he will because people will pay, then he will get away with it. And he'll get away with it year on year. And unfortunately, that is the nature of football right now. Tottenham have always been a club about money rather than about trophies and about everything else. And I'm sure that's something you guys have touched on many times. And so why is it a surprise when the club that's all about making money and about making profit puts up the prices? I mean, it doesn't surprise me personally.
Brian, I know you're going to have, in fact, I want to come to you last on this, Brian, only because I know there's something you wanted to read out and talk to us about. So let me... Because that's going to be quite a bit longer, that bit. Let me just get Matt's thoughts on this. Matt, I don't know what you think about this because you've just stayed a little bit quiet for now. I think you're the kind of guy that sits back. Let me soak it all in, and then I'm going to hit you with what I feel. So far away.
Yeah, I think it's another example of Daniel Levy just not really caring, not really sensing the mood. He slowly got back a little bit of credibility with the appointment of Ange and the brand of football, and then he very quickly arranged that fans forum when we were, either top of the league or doing incredibly well at the start of the season. So he made sure that he got out there when Tottenham were on the wave. Just looking at some of the deals that we've done in the last transfer window, which is Eric Dyer off the wage bill, Lloris off the wage bill. Just those two players alone, we've actually, that £3 million that we're supposedly getting by increasing the ticket prices, that's covered. That's covered. Lloris was on 5.2 million a year wages at Tottenham. So we've actually saved that by getting rid of Hugo Lloris and Eric Dyer off the wage bill. So it can't be a need. That's not a need. I just think it's another example of Levy just extracting as much as he can. While the wave is on the up, I'll hit the fans I'll tap the fans for a little bit more. It's just not necessary. There's no need. There's no need for it. Monetary wise, it makes no difference to Tottenham Hotspur. So why do it? That's my question. Why would you do it? I try to be, as you know, Stel, as balanced as I can, but it's a major error for me. It's a major. Surely his PR team must be saying you're going to get backlash on this. They must be advising him to say,
right, Matt. Let me. I want to push back on you, and I want to go to something Cam said. You're saying surely his PR team should be advising him, no, don't do this. There's going to be backlash. But then he's weighed that up with what the accountancy team have said. No. You'll get away with it. They're not going to stand up against you. So if the economic people are saying, no, do it, they'll keep paying the tickets. We've got data to prove no matter what you do, they'll keep paying. But the PR team is saying this isn't going to go down well. We're going to be in the newspapers again. Levy out's going to start again. He's weighed up and said, well, they're going to pay. We'll do it. Isn't that why he's done it? Like Cam said, because he can get away with it.
Look, I think the last time I checked, there was a 60 or 70,000 waiting list for season tickets at Tottenham. So he knows that pretty much whatever he does, there's always going to be people looking to get a ticket at Tottenham. So he's in a strong position in that respect. But I just don't understand why, after the toxic environment at Tottenham at the end of last season, why would you do this? It just defies logic to me. Why would you do it? It makes no sense. Just Lloris alone, £5.2 million he earned in a calendar year. That's off the wage bill now. So I just don't understand what. Yes, he froze the ticket prices last season. That's the counter argument. But really, Eric Dyer, Harry Kane, Hugo Lloris in the last calendar year are no longer on Tottenham's books. That covers it and then some. So it just wasn't needed, in my opinion.
Before I come to Brian, Robin in the chat, listen, buddy, saying Brian Daigle wasn't probably Levy out, I mean, that's delusional to say the least. And he's wearing a Nina Couch shirt on the show, just in case you're wearing sunglasses. So, Brian, over to you, my man.
Yeah, the day I get told that I'm too quiet in what I say about Levy is the day I start thinking, what the hell is going on with the world? First of all, just to piggyback off Matt was saying about Hugo Lloris and the wages was very dire. He's also saved £10 million on Ange Postecoglou. He's on 5 million compared to Conte. He saved millions with Ange compared to Jose Mourinho. People have been talking and going on about how we have to praise Levy, how there hasn't been a ticket increase for the last couple of years. Well, the last season ticket price increase was 1.5%. There hasn't been one for 3 years. And then you get hit with all 3 years in one at 6%. What people are also forgetting when it comes to this, when it comes to this is everyone that is Levy out, whether it be me, whether it be STEL, whether it be the people that protested outside the ground with us, that speak about it on YouTube, that speak about it on social media. When we protest, it is not just about the football. It's about how the fans have been treated, how there is no respect whatsoever. And it brings me on to what I'm about to read, which obviously I shared with you still, and you'd already read it. I got sent something yesterday and I retweeted it immediately. And it's from a guy called Alan Fisher, who is a person of senior citizen age. And he wrote something. I'm just going to read it because...
Brian, just so people don't know, I'll bring it up on the screen as well as you read it. He's a Spurs blogger. He actually blogs on Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this for you. I've got it up on my screen now. So prices for next season up 6% and a concession hacked to bits. Cost have risen, I get. But so has the club's income. Yet fans won't receive any of the benefits. Everyone was expecting an increase. I'm not naive. The point is, we here now at Spurs are reaping the rewards of the last financial prudence and the income from the new ground, but it seems the fans aren't part of the equation. The decision to limit the number of senior concessions and the amount of the discount is disgraceful, a shameful, offhand disregard of decades of loyalty that impacts long-standing supporters. The people who have been there the longest. Good times and bad, thick and thin. Thanks for your support. Crap football, we were there. Endless stick from fans from our London rivals. We keep coming. Now pay for it or sod off. A reminder that not all of this is new. Last season, I wrote about how the club had not only confirmed senior discounts to an increasingly smaller proportion of the ground, but also they had limited the number of tickets they would allocate in each section, which was not openly publicised. The the senior concession prices are not sustainable. The language itself is self-justificatory, a given a fact of life, but this is a deliberate obstruction of reality, which is that they have a sum of money that they can use now and in the future as they wish, and what they really wish is if we keep with the concessions, we make less money. With the 6% rise, with the club tapered fall in the discounts begin the season after next, the club get an extra £55.74 per season from me, as I have a senior concession seat in the Park Lane. That less than half the price of the first team shirt, or between a third and a quarter of a premium seat, or a tenth of the cost of one of the sitting for one of the best games in the hospitality series. Here is an example of something that is sustainable, apparently. Spurs director Daniel Levy gave themselves a rise of almost £3 million at the end of June 2022. Daniel Levy earned $2.65 million in 2022, in comparison to $2.6 million the previous year, while the total pocketed by Tottenham directors was $6.73 million, up from $4 million. The source was the Telegraph. That year, Levy was the highest paid director in the Premier League. But ultimately, the true indignity for supporters cannot be measured in monetary terms. Your support is wonderful, your loyalty is wonderful, and here's what you get in return. I've been talking to a lot of Spurs fans for some research. I've asked if there's anything distinctive about being a Spurs fan. If you had to explain being a Spurs fan to someone who knows about football, how would you describe us? Almost everyone includes 2 points in their reply: that we want to watch attacking football and that we are loyal. In our people's history of support and supporters, Martin Cloak and I trace back to the early days, even to the marshes when there were no stands, away games at Europe, Tottenham Hotspur fans will still turn up. Not to mention 62,000 for every home game that the clubs were for a club that's won a single League Cup this century. AFC fans staged protest marches to remove their most successful manager since Herbert Chapman. Many Chelsea fans are currently apoplectic about a half a poor season, yet we turn up because Tottenham Hotspur will be there. Levy is fond of describing himself as a custodian of the club and its heritage, but the club is nothing without its supporters. This is a gross, clear-eyed attack on some of the most loyal fans, not just in the UK. Me and Mal, we limp up to row 49 with our walking sticks. I have been coming since 1967. He's got an extra 10 years on me, and come kick-off, there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be. Means nothing to the board. I'm surprised we haven't had an email saying we should consider ourselves lucky that we have a concession at all. Spurs fans, no differently from most fans, don't expect too much. There's an unspoken bargain between us and the club. We'll turn up and get behind the team. In return, give us your best. If it doesn't work out in terms of trophies, that's a shame, but we handle that. If you do your best, but please behave like you appreciate we exist and respect the heritage we hold in our hands and hearts. Not a lot to ask, but too much for the board. When prices were announced for the new stadium, I said at that time the club could be creating a deep well of resentment that will stay underground while the team are doing well, but could erupt at any time. The same is true today. Spurs fans are patient. Goodness knows how we have to be. But the resentment surfaces if it gets too much. And that does nothing to help the team or the manager. None of this is apparently part of the club's decision taking. It simply fuels suspicions that as far as the board are concerned, we're not fans, we're customer numbers. Worse, it shows that they really don't understand us at all. Once again, Spurs create goodwill only to chuck it all down the drain. I'm in favour of the non-football activities at the Lane, provided it doesn't get in the way of being a football stadium when we play there. And to be fair, it doesn't. It's a great place to watch football. So what is the purpose of the F1 karting, Pink, Pearl Jam and the NFL if it doesn't in some way benefit Spurs fans? £55.47 a year extra for me, though. And there is a broader context here. The game is changing with the dominance of finance and the increasing influence of the perceived interests of television and the spectacle it creates. It's impersonal, undermining fans who go to games and those who want to go but can't afford it. We don't want a Super League, blue cards or lengthy VAR delays or going to Newcastle for a 12:30 kickoff for that matter. That is what you get. That's if you get a ticket, given that 20% go to premium season ticket holders. The move reinforces the view that the club doesn't care. Somebody will sit in the seat, doesn't matter to them who it is. The distance between the club and the fan, the game and the fans who love it, grows even wider. And this is the last paragraph, which infuriates me that a gentleman since 1967 has written this. Still, I've got some good news for the board. I'm 68 and now beginning to feel it. Both my parents were dead by the time they were 70, so I guess there's a chance there's something in the genes and I won't have too much longer. Seems obvious to me that the club are irritated by too many of us veterans living so long, and dying could be my final act of support because my seat will become available at full price. That final sentence absolutely sickens me. That there are fans that go around and support this board and do this, and to top it all off, still, I don't know if you've checked your emails recently or Spurs season ticket holders have checked their emails today, but just when you think this club can't sink any lower and They want to abolish concessions and the elderly and the veteran fans like this man that's gone everywhere. I'm going to show the picture in a minute, but a picture has come out, an email's come out from Tottenham Hotspur, premium hospitality. Join our premium waiting list now for just £25 a seat and guarantee a spot for all your home games. So now we are now asking people to pay £25 just to get on a waiting list to guarantee that they'll get a premium seat. The steps this club will go to extract money from you and offer nothing in return. And if anyone has any doubt about how this club run, I urge everyone to have a long, hard look at themselves and look at that man's final paragraph, who's saying, my parents both died at 70. I'm 68. So who knows, Daniel, in a couple of years, you can sell my seat at full price. The owners of this football club are disgusting. Period.
Matt, Cam, do you want to weigh in on that? Pretty damning set of comments from that elder gentleman who wrote that blog and actually gave up. He felt the need to give up time to write such a piece of content.
I'd like to weigh in on that, because there's a lot of emotion and a lot of stuff going on in the background. I mean, I liked when you put up the prices for Liverpool right now, because I was a season ticket holder for about 15 years before I moved to the US. And I was paying more than that in the late 90s for my season ticket. And I had a season ticket in the East Stand Upper, which was the old East Stand Upper. Wasn't the best seats in the world. They were pretty good, but they were really high up in the East Stand. And I was paying over £1,000 then in 99, 2000. So it's shocking to see the difference in prices. And that in itself is reflective of the fact that this is not something that is just a new thing. Tottenham Hotspur have been consistently more expensive than some of the bigger clubs for years and years and years and years. And will continue to be, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'll give you another example. I've been trying to get tickets. I'm coming to England with my wife, and we've got to have a little break at the end of the month. So we want to go and see the Luton game. I mean, Luton, you'd expect that would be an easy one to get into. The cheapest tickets I could get are £250 each. So I've got to pay £500 to go on for 2 tickets just because we want to be together to go and see Spurs versus Luton. And the way Luton are playing now, I'm not holding up much hope for us either. So £500 for that makes me quite sick. But at the end of the day, look, there's one paragraph in what Brian just read out, which stuck with me, and leaving all the emotions aside. And that is, this is big business now, buddy. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's all about money. I mean, there's 2 things going on here. One is Tottenham Stadium and one is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I don't believe they're the same thing in Levy's mind. For them, as far as they're concerned, the stadium is to make money, and all the events they make money from is to make money for them. And it doesn't get invested back into Tottenham. Everyone thinks, we're going to have all these concerts in the NFL, and it's all going to go back into Spurs. No, that's not how business plans work. That's not how big businesses work nowadays. They make money on the back of the stadium, and that goes into the big companies rather than plowed back into Tottenham. So I think the main thing I'd say is you're not dealing with your nice, homely, lovely club that we all used to go to the old stadium and walk down White Hart Lane and cheering. You're dealing with big multinational business, which is there to make money for its shareholders and for the company that it represents. And whoever takes over, I don't like Levy and I don't like what he's done to our club, but unfortunately, look at all the clubs out there. They're all turned into money-making machines, irrespective of what happens to the fans, and just roll over them. And as you say, we'll all die off soon, and they'll carry on making money.
Cam, I've just got to say that. The one thing one thing I will say on that, Cam, you're right in some parts of the business, but for years we've been the highest priced season ticket.
Yeah,
with nothing in return. As that guy said, we are the only team now. Other team may do a couple of events. We have all these events. We have all these go-karts. We have everything. Everything you want at that club. Which, do you know what? I'd have events there every single goddamn day. If we could, when we're not playing, or the night before a match, because it's more revenue. But every penny goes back into the club. It's a whole... I put a tweet out today and I said, what you need to do with this football club is don't listen to a word they say. Actions speak louder than words. Watch how they act. Watch how they act. And that's what they do. They'll give you, and I said it for years, whilst they're talking about doing things over here to get you all on board and going, oh yeah, this is coming, it's different this time, we're going to do it this way. And with Ange coming in, people are doing that, it's all this way. There is always something going on over here. Always. So whilst you're looking over there at everything they're saying, they're acting out and doing something over here every single time.
I've just got a quick message from channel member Donna Cullen. If you don't know, Donna Cullen is a troll. She loves us all. Wagwan, Mr. Daigle. And Tottenham Hotspur fans, it's time you all make me chairman. I will do a better job than the bald old man there. Ha ha ha. Cam, I wanted to say, this thing about it's all becoming business. That's where it's going. That's not up for debate, really. But the thing with business is it only works if you've got customers. And if the customers aren't happy, you don't have a business. So what I would say is this. Our Spurs fans a different type of customer? Because I would tell you now, if they put the ticket prices up on me, which they have done, I don't have a complaint with it. And I'll pay it if we're challenging for league titles. We win an FA Cup every 4 or 5 years. I would say, do you know what? I'm paying a premium price, but I'm getting a premium product on the pitch. I feel like I'm being charged Michelin star restaurant prices, and you're giving me a McDonald's in a Happy Meal box. Is this not the club understanding that we've got a fan base that will accept whatever it's given, and that's why they're doing it? Because I do agree with you. All clubs are businesses, but Chelsea have won more trophies than anyone in 20 years. Man United, they're up in anger and uproar, but they've still won 3-4 trophies over the last 8-9 years. Arsenal, they've picked up 4 or 5 FA Cups in 10 years and they're in a league title race. City win trophies. Aston Villa, they're favourites to win the Conference Cup this year in Europe. So there's got to be a balance. Surely there's a breaking point, no, Cam?
Absolutely. And this is, I think you nailed it. I mean, we are all paying Michelin star meals and getting Happy Meals in return. And we've been eating those Happy Meals very happily and going back for seconds, week in, week out. And you know, Matt said it, 60,000 waiting on the waiting list. I think it was Matt, that waiting list to step into your shoes the moment you move, you know? Yeah. I mean, there are people all around the world that want to come and see Spurs. They want to come and see Spurs because we have a business model, which means bring in one player from Korea with Son, and you'll fill the stadium 30% with Koreans, and whether we win anything or not. And I love Son. I'm not having a go at him, but the point is, it's they're doing it on the basis that it's how they can bring more people in and make more money on the back of it. When has I'd ask you one more thing. This is the difference between Spurs fans and every other fan. Levy does not have to put into his business plan of winning trophies to make money at Tottenham. If making money was a trophy in itself, we'd win every single year. But unfortunately, it's not. And that is what the issue is. Until we start equating the cost of this with winning something, Tottenham are not going to win anything because there's no incentive there. Levy has no incentive for us to win a goddamn thing. They'll keep getting people in and they'll keep eating money, and you'll still eat that Happy Meal for your Michelin prices and thank him for it at the end of it. And that's the problem that Spurs have. We love that, and that mentality is still there. That's why I'm sure we'll move on to why we never win anything. But that mentality, and we're a business. Unfortunately, why you asked the question, why do we not win anything? Because we're basically run as a business, and as long as we're making money, who cares about anything else? And that's what really sticks in my throat.
Matt, where are you after hearing those comments from that?
I mean, I'm on the same page as Cam and Brian. Look, the focus at Tottenham is revenue. You know, it's a real estate FC. Football is a kind of background noise. It's kind of get on with it, but just don't make too much noise. Kind of let me focus on, you know, amassing my property portfolio and making sure that I'm kind of relevant in that industry. Football is a kind of it's a secondary interest. It's second or third in his level of importance, and you can see it. You can clearly see it. I mentioned last week on the show, STEL, you know, when Sadio Mane is available from Southampton, and it's going to cost Tottenham 35 million. He's having a medical at Tottenham. We mess about with the structure of the deal. Liverpool, who are nowhere in the discussions at the time. Pochettino had him at Southampton. It's a done deal for Tottenham. We mess about with the structure of the deal. Liverpool jump in at the last minute. He's a Liverpool player. We then, in the same transfer window, sign Sissoko for 30 million. So in Levy's mind, he's done a great job. He saved himself 5 million and he signed Sissoko. But obviously, anybody that knows football, Sadio Mane is 3 times the player of Sissoko. So this is where football is not the level of importance that it needs to be. It doesn't have the same level of, when you're going all the way through the club, if you look at the concerts, you look at the artists that are performing at Tottenham Stadium, the A-listers, that's where the importance is. If Levy managed the pop concerts like he did the football, we'd have Chesney Hawkes performing at Tottenham, because that's sometimes the level of signings that we go after. But he makes sure that he has Beyonce and Guns N' Roses. He has all the big names to make sure that we get the maximum revenue out of the stadium. And I don't have a problem with that necessity, but when Sadio Mane is available, get Sadio Mane, don't get Sissoko. When Jack Grealish is available, get Jack Grealish. We don't see the return. For all these increases and for all these things that he's doing, the playing staff gets neglected. So that's where you get that discontentment with fans, because what are we getting for our money? Why are we getting Timo Werner? Why are we getting Joe Rodon? Why is that happening?
You're bang on. And do you know what? I just want to emphasize, basically, Matt, I love speaking after you because I can just piggyback what you've just said. It's fantastic. So you look at it. Let's go back to Irving Scholar, where we won trophies regularly. We brought Paul Gascoigne, and Paul Gascoigne at the time was brought at a British transfer record fee. Remember that record fee, and we went on to win trophies. Alan Sugar came in, we went on 1 trophies. The man signed Jurgen Klinsmann at the peak of his powers, not on the way down, at the peak of his powers. Jurgen Klinsmann came to this football club. When he actually signed on the dotted line, we had a 12-point deduction. We were at the FA Cup. All right, the points and everything went, but that was Alan Sugar fighting. We signed elite players. Elite. We now have the stadium. We now have regular Champions League money. We now have regular income coming. Run, as everyone says, like one of the best clubs in the world. He has not. Van der Vaart was on the way down when he came to us. It was a great signing, don't get me wrong. Has this club gone and made one elite? Listen, Gareth Bale, people will say, but Gareth Bale weren't elite when we signed him. He went and became what he was. Has this football club gone, right? We've got a new stadium. We're regularly in Europe. We boast record profits. We have the highest price tickets in the land. Like Matt said, amazing how we don't have the A-listers on the football pitch, but the A-listers that will come in the NFL, primetime boxers, Beyonce, Pink, Lady Gaga, you name them, they're all here. They're the elite ones. This team, under this ownership, tell me one elite player we have signed at the elite level, not bought and then gone on to elite. Name me one footballer we have signed at his pomp.
Yeah, we don't break the bank for world class players.
That's not what we're about. That's what we've been saying. That's what we're about. We're about making money, not winning trophies. You could argue that the two don't go hand in hand. I mean, you could argue that City, look what City have done, look what all the other clubs have done. None of them make money like Tottenham do. Tottenham are about making money. They're not about winning trophies. And that's what the business plan is. Where in the business plan is it written that we are going to actually throw money at players to make sure we win something? I don't believe it is. It's all about breaking even, making money, lining the pockets of those that are on the board and have got the shares. And the other thing I think that's really important point that we've got to be making is, why do we think that all of these other activities are supporting the team? I am sure they're not supporting the team at all. They're probably standalone business units within the overall structure, and they're making money again for the same people who the team's making money for.
That's the thing, Cam. If that is the case, this is what I don't get with our fan base. If that is the case, Daniel Levy did that poxy little scripted interview. That poxy, and he said in his own words, it weren't edited, it weren't AI, it was Daniel Levy. Every single penny this club generates goes back into the club. So he's a barefaced liar. I know he is. Phil knows he is. We all know he is.
Yeah, but you see what Daniel Levy's what Levy's
do nothing.
What Levy's done. He did the one thing he knew, and he was told to do it, and he did it. And he brought everyone back on side, right? And it was this. This is what he did at the start of the season.
Yeah. Simple. We've got our Tottenham back. That's
Idiot.
That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. Just tell the fans, you've got your Tottenham back.
Yes.
Bring in Ange, attacking football.
But win nothing.
Bit of reshuffling in the recruitment department, and
already out of the FA Cup. I mean, almost out of the top four. Yep,
but that's part of the project.
You've
been told that's part of the project, Cam. It's part of the process. So be patient. I want to get onto the Spurs Supporters Trust response. So they have put out a statement, and on social media they've been absolutely crucified for not having a backbone. And this is essentially what they've done. They've said that they believe it's unacceptable at a time when fans are struggling. So, Brian?
Just like Daniel Levy's announcement when he said we're pleased to announce our upcoming prices. Call to action, what, 1 week?
Yeah. So there's been a call to action. They believe it's unacceptable given the cost of living crisis. And they're going to say why. And they said that we've made our feelings known to the club. And through our negotiating channels. I mean, they've never negotiated a thing when it comes to these matters. And they've spoken to the fan advisory board who are doing the same. Surely the fan advisory board is there to advise the club what to do, not change their mind after they've done it, right? But there you go. Anyway, so their call to action is this. Here are some of the actions you can take. Email the club. Supporter services.
Is it a strongly worded email? Is it a strongly worded email?
and they even tell you what to put in the email. How this is impacting your ability to afford to go to games. Were you coming up to the concession rate and now going to miss out? And also, how long have you been coming to games? Right. Or share on social media. You can post your opposition. Here are some examples of what you can copy and paste. Fans can't afford 6% increase in ticket prices. They should immediately reconsider and use the hashtag. Hashtag stop exploiting loyalty. And there you go. That's the plan, everyone. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna email the club and tell them, yeah, I'm not happy. Or you can go on social media and say, yeah, I'm not happy. Like, look, for me, I didn't expect anything less. I've said for years, the Spurs Supporters Trust do a magnificent job with helping our disabled fans, making sure the safety when fans are traveling to away games and abroad, there's travel arrangements in place, and they do provide a communication between fans and the club. But when it comes to tackling and dealing with the board and the way they behave, they're a waste of time. That's not what they were set up for, and that's kind of what they've tried to become, and it's backfired at every stage. They're not fit for what is going on here. They're not. Then you look at the YouTube channels. I hit out hard yesterday. I'm not going to do it again now because I've got guests on the show and I don't want you to be kind of associated with that. But I've said very clearly, there are channels out there that like to talk in front of the camera. You like to get on your keyboard and type on social media. When it comes to actually doing something, you laugh at the people that did try and do something to leave you out. You know, they were the devil, the mafia. That's what we were called, the mafia or mob. So now what? Who is going to take the reins and do it? I know a couple of channels and the club, people from the trust tried to launch Change for Tottenham. They had one job: march down the high street, rally march, and get all fans on board, because they use the word change. Change can mean change of manager, change of chairman, change of board, change of direction, change of philosophy. Bring everyone together. The day of the rally, they cancelled. So they bottled it. But again, they leave you out lot. You know, you're a joke because you turn up every time and you make noise, right? So I don't know what else we can do as fans if we're not going to unite together and do something which is more than an email, more than a councilled march, or more than going on Twitter and saying leave you out. Anyone got any ideas? Because I don't understand. Like, don't you think that what the trust has put out, like Matt said earlier, surely there's someone who does PR for the club that advises Levy, you're going to get a backlash. Is there no one in the trust that advises them, you're going to get a backlash? Like, you're not much better. Like, it beggars belief.
I watched your stream yesterday, and you were outstanding. You're on true form. It was a great stream. And when you spoke about the obviously I couldn't get to the Super League protest because of COVID, and I couldn't get out of Toronto, even if I wanted to. When they said we're going to do this video, and you actually thought, I don't know if people have seen that video, they made it sound like it was going to be you're going to sit in front of camera and have your say and have your view, and then they'll put them all together as a collage, and it'll be this fan.
Brian, I don't think people know what you're talking about. Just let people know.
Okay, so when the Super League protest was going ahead, the trust came together and said, "This is outrageous. We're going to do our thing about it." Obviously, a lot of fans went and protested, like STEL did, and many others outside the club shop. It was a bit of a fiasco, the actual protest, but people turned up. But the trust were giving out leaflets saying, "Come to this location. We're going to put a video together and send it to the club to air our frustrations." They made it sound like I said, you'd all sit here. It'll be like, "My name's Brian. I'm a Spurs supporter. Blah blah blah. This is what I've got to say." Matt, Cam, Stel. No. They got people of all walks of life and did a scripted video, diversities, genders, sexuality, everything, where everyone said like a sentence or every other word, and they streamed. It kind of looked like a Band-Aid song. It looked like that. That's what it was. It was one of those charity songs, "Let's Save the World," which was absolute nonsense. Now, the very fact, and Danji called it. I mean, it was so obvious. I said, "What are the trust going to do? A strong worded email. B, pick up some Sky News will get hold of it, and they'll do some media appearances, and then they'll go on YouTube and come out and air their frustrations, followed by absolutely nothing." This is just absolute nonsense from them again. Listen, we turned up for their protest. We ended the Manchester United game. The Leave You Out protest actually ended our protest early to give them, and we actually went to join them in solidarity to try and support them. And they did it for 1 week, and then on the second week, apparently everyone had a mystery illness, and they didn't alert anyone till 2 days later. But apparently they had one person apparently standing there to tell them that no one's turning up. Not with the not a supporters trust kind of identifying top or anything, just a random standing where they were meant to be to tell people and ask them for their emails so they can contact them for further protests. Ryan Isaacs, who is a very, very good friend of ours, came up with a brilliant way for this protest. I was speaking to you about yesterday still. No one going for the next home game, which I believe is Luton, isn't it? Or Fulham. The next home game.
Luton Town.
No one going to the stands and sit in their seats until the 6th minute. Simple. 6 minutes, 6%. You can watch the game on all the screens inside the stadium. You're not missing anything. It's not walking out like 65 minutes or 61 when Spurs last won the league. It's not walking out early. It's just sit inside the concourse Spend more money, give more money to Levy with your beers or whatever, or don't if you're like me. Whenever you went in and wouldn't give him a penny, stay in the concourse for 6 minutes and do not sit in your seat until the 6th minute. That's it. It's as simple as that. How easy is that?
It's getting the fans to do it, isn't it? This is our problem.
That's the big problem.
And it's getting all these. I mean, what
they won't do it. They won't do it. They don't.
For everyone that will, there's about 20 others waiting to jump in their seat. That's what the issue is. I mean, it's not like, everyone's on the same page here. You got to remember that. I mean, there are so many people that want to take your place. And it's an international thing now, Brian. Everyone's coming from all over the world. I mean, someone's already made the point on your chats on the side that, we sign players to attract in more tourists and more people from abroad who pay more, come in, kit themselves out in every single thing they can buy in the store and pay double for the seats. That's where the money is.
Anyone watching the show who watches it later on, my advice is this. You will watch lots of channels, right? When you're in those channels, in the comments, rally them to take action. Say to them, but you don't do anything. What are you going to do? That's going to try and galvanize them into kind of feeling like, do you know what? I should be doing something as a fan. Forget YouTube content creator and podcaster. They're still fans. I don't know very many fans that are actually okay with what's happened here. There's a few, okay, but I think the majority aren't happy about this at all. So rally the other channels, rally them, see what happens. Maybe that will get one or two going. I doubt it, though, by the way. I'm just letting you know, I doubt it, but
could try.
Look, we've spoken about it, guys. 50 minutes, my God. I want to let's get it onto football matters now, because there are some. I want to quickly go into some comments that came out from Ange in the press conference and from Reguilón, who's out on loan at the moment. So Ange Postecoglou was asked if he agrees with the idea that not playing in the Champions League hinders the chance of improvement and developing the squad, and he said, "No, I don't. Your development is your development. If you keep getting stronger as a team, those kinds of things don't even come into question. You should be there all the time. But if that's your goal and thinking that is some golden ticket to some endless riches, it is not the case. There's plenty of evidence. Even this year, you can see that's not the case. There are a couple of teams who got into the Champions League this year from last year, had a good season. Sorry, from last year who had a good season. Does that guarantee anything the following season?" I think he's referring to Newcastle and Brighton. No. I've said all along, I'm in no desperation to get something just for comfort or insurance. I'm here to create a team that wins things. For me, it defies logic. I'm just not built that way to aim for anything other than the top. Now, it doesn't mean you're always going to get there, but I'm not going to settle for anything other than that. If I fall short, well, that's on me. Okay? Question mark. But I'm not going to sit here and try and create a scenario where we're happy with anything other than just being the best. That's just the way I think. Matt, before you tell me your thoughts, that is exactly what Conte said in a less articulate way. I'm just putting it out there. It's exactly what Conte said. Told the coaches, see them celebrating top four over there? I don't want you to be happy with that. Is Ange not saying that in a more welcoming, inviting way for fans to say, yeah, and you're great, yeah.
Yeah, look, I watched the same press conference and I counted. He said the word improve 7 times. He used that word, improve the squad, the team, the performance, the results, 7 times. So I think Postecoglou's going to hit a wall soon, which is he's going to draw up a list of players, and that list is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And what I mean by smaller and smaller is when he realizes he's not going to get the players that's on his list, those press conferences are going to get more flamboyant, they're going to get more extreme. And I'm guessing he will be fine at Tottenham until he starts making the top 4. And I envisage in the next year, if Tottenham are third or fourth and he wants to go to the next phase, that's when the problems will start at Spurs, because Daniel Levy just wants Tottenham around fourth or fifth. Just keep them in the noise, keep them in the conversation. But when you start knocking on the door, wanting a certain level and profile of player, Postecoglou will go the same as Pochettino, as Conte, and to a lesser extent, Jose. So I think he's made it abundantly clear. He's not here just to make up the numbers. He's not here to qualify for the Champions League and celebrate. Everywhere he's been, now granted, they've been at supposedly lesser leagues and lesser clubs, he's won trophies. And I think this marriage of convenience will become an inconvenience when he starts asking for a certain level of player. So I think we've got a year, 18 months, and then there's going to be a massive problem between him and the recruitment team.
Cam, the comments from Ange saying he doesn't care about top four. He just wants to build a winning team that wins trophies, and it's about improvement. 6 times improvement. What's your thinking?
Aren't the two things that are contradictory? I mean, if you're improving because you're getting into the top four and you're winning things. I mean, what are we improving for? Just to look good in training? Just to look good on the pitch? I mean, the whole idea of improving is to get into the top four. I mean, it's like basically he's talking us around in circles here, and I don't know why he's doing it. He's very clever because he knows we ain't going to make the top four. And also, I think I read something today that the 5th position might not be a Champions League position anymore because of the results in Europe this week. I don't know if anyone else has seen that, but there may be that 5th spot may be in doubt now as a Champions League spot.
If West Ham and Brighton drop out,
yeah,
the Germans and the Italians, they're already ahead of us in the coefficient, so that weakens our position further.
Yeah. So let's face it. I mean, what Ange to me is saying is he is damping down expectations, talking about improvements when, at what stage, and he is also making it very clear to us that the way that Villa are playing and the way the teams in the top 3 above them are playing is that it's going to be a really big ask for us to get into that top 4. My biggest problem here is we have got nothing else to play for this season. He's already got us out of every single cup, and we've very happily all rolled over and taken it. And now the expectation of lowering it against the top 4 in place of improvement, to me, is just a complete oxymoron. It's ridiculous. The most stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, Ange, but I don't agree with a word he said.
Brian, before I come to you, guys, can you please subscribe to Tottenham on Tour? Ben Kaufman's put the link here, and also to Spurs 9501. He's also put the link here. Thank you, Ben, for that. Also, if you go onto the actual thumbnail, I've attached the 2 channels in the link, so you can just click on them. It takes you straight there as well. Yeah, Brian, do you think Ange is talking sense? Is he just playing a good game, or does he not know what Levy's like yet? Or are we actually in for a big surprise? And this summer, we're going to see something we've never seen before. We're going to see some top players come in, and all the dross finally out.
Well, I've said for a while now, there's absolutely no excuses this summer for Ange, us not having a productive summer. And I don't mean spending 80 million north on every single player. There is no excuse with everything going on and the revenues coming in and possibly Champions League football, why this club don't say, right, we've got ourselves into this position financially by hook or by crook. We can now actually get, and we have to act quick, because the Premier League are going to change that rule very quickly, so it gives bigger spending power to the bigger clubs because they care about their brand. So this window of opportunity we have actually is this summer. I hate it every summer when we go January. This is the window. Don't worry, this is the one where we literally this is the one. This really is the one. This really is the one. With what's going on with Manchester City and Chelsea, possible Champions League football, the position we are in financially, there are no excuses. Absolutely none that are valid why Ange is not back this summer. When it comes to Ange, as you said, he's basically still, I thought the same. He has basically said in a much calmer way exactly what Antonio Conte said against Southampton. And I'm sure there'll be words saying like you can't say things like this. I'm sure there will be words like and behave. You can't get away with this. But the one thing I do love what Ange says is I'm here to go for number one. The best way to get top four is to aim to be champions and just not get it. Not to say, right, I want to aim for first. And if we get second, third, or fourth, fine. I don't want to aim for fourth and anything else is a bonus. It should be the other way around. There's that famous saying, isn't there? I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm going to have a real problem if you aim low and hit. And that's what we do. If we get top four, that's just a bonus. We're back in the Champions League football. The best way to get Champions League football is to say, right, do you know what? We may not win the league, but Ange in his head thinks he can if he gets the right things in. And you go for the league. You don't go, okay, we'll go for fourth. You go for the league table. The mentality of the club should be, we're in this competition, we're going to win it. We are going to win this tournament or this competition or this title. And if you don't, okay, we'll deal with it. But top four is a minimum for this football club. It should be a minimum.
Can I ask you guys a question? Brian, you can go first because you're already talking about it. We're not going to win the league, it's obvious, right? But we're either going to get, in my opinion, we're either going to get fourth or fifth unless Man United has a massive turnaround and they get their act together. So we're either going to be Champions League or Europa Cup. What would you guys rather have? We get top four, which allegedly gives us the extra money to buy better players and elevate us in the league next season, or as a stepping stone, let's just get back into Europe first, Europa Cup, and let's try and win a competition that we've got a better chance of winning at, but it might hinder our ability to spend more money.
I'll tell you right now, and don't care. I'll take Europe. I'll take the Europa League every single time. I'm sick and tired of getting Champions League football just for getting the extra money and the extra music and going to these teams for what?
Music.
to hit the champion. What we go there? What if we got? All right, we got to one final. Have we brought in players of Champions League quality? Regular players that have won this tournament, people that can impact? No. The reason I say I'd rather go into Europa League is we've looked at it and we've spoken for ages and ages, not just you and me, still everyone, whether you've got YouTube, social media, with your friends in the pub, at work. We've got a crop of youngsters here that are not given the opportunity that I feel they deserve. And if we're in the Europa League, you can go there and say, right, okay, next year we're really going to focus on the league. This is what we want to do. Hopefully we have the summer that everyone thinks we're going to have. And then when it comes to the Europa League, you can go, right, every away game or whatever, we're going to take 5 or 6 first teamers, 6 or 7 first teamers, 4 or 5 of them will start, but the rest are going to be kids. Your Donnellys, your Divines, your Ashley Phillips, your Dorringtons, your Santiagos. I could go on and give them the minutes. Leave the domestic cups. You play the first team. I want the FA Cup badly. I want the league. Anything. Focus. 11 of the first teamers. You go and you play your first team. The Premier League. You play your first team. Europa League. Every away game. Rotate the first teamers that you're taking so they get a rest, and take a crop of this incredible youngsters that we've got and say this is where you're getting your game time. We keep going on that we've created a pathway for these players, and we have got rid of your Dyers, we've got rid of them all, so you can actually see now that there is some kind of pathway to the first team. But they're not going to get it in the Premier League, like Liverpool do, like Newcastle have done, like United. We just don't do it. For whatever reason it may be, we just don't do it. The only way we're going to get these youngsters to show what they're made of and get their opportunity to have an impact in the first team is the Europa League. So I'd rather see our youngsters come through and the crop that are coming through and see them get their minutes and see them play football and see them live up to their potential rather than get in the Champions League, compete, get knocked out in the knockout round or the group stage and go, oh, don't worry, but we've got the extra revenue. I'm going Europa League all day.
Matt, Europa or Champions League?
I'm with Brian. I think if we look at the recent history, we've signed Clement Langley when we've been in the Champions League. We've signed Fraser Forster. The 1 year Arsenal, the first year in 7 seasons that Arsenal qualified for the Champions League, they signed Declan Rice. We would have signed Annika Rice. You know, that's the kind of, that is, we would have still, you know.
I'm laughing because half the audience doesn't even know who she is.
You know, honestly, I think if we'd have made Champions League and the list would have showed Declan Rice, Levy would have come back with Annika Rice, you know, Bruno Fernandes, and we get Gedson Fernandes. You know, there's always, no offense to Lidl and Aldi, but we always seem to come back in the basket with something from Lidl and Aldi when everybody else in the Champions League are at Waitrose. So I'm with Brian. I think we need. Anyone who don't know, Google Annika Rice. If we get anything like the window that I hope, I think we'll be very much competitive for the Europa League. I mean, can you both remember? Can you all remember the Milan games? How bad were we in those Milan games last season?
Yeah, we were shocking. Except for Pape Sarr. Pape Sarr did well in the San Siro.
He was outstanding at Milan.
That was about it. Yeah.
All right, so
yeah, Cam.
I'm going to go for Champions League. I'll be different here. I think that this year is really important for us. I know we all go on about the next summer and everything else. Every summer is important, and every year we're going to get better and better, and everything's going to be better. I think we're missing a small thing here. We are 5th. We are close, and we could make it this year. We're not. We need to accept the fact that Man United and Chelsea next season will get better. They'll probably sign bigger players. They'll probably make more money than we will. They will probably spend more money than we will. They will compete against us. And our ability to sign players, we all want to sign these great players, and we all want to sign top-notch players and not Aldi players or Lidl players, as we're saying. But without Champions League football, that already ties a hand behind our back. My view is if we don't get those players, then the other teams around us get stronger, and we're back down to where we were. They actually created a trophy for us in the Europa Conference League. We couldn't even win that. I think we lost against some team that was, when Conte was there, that was from absolutely nowhere, and we were so bad the next 2 seasons, we didn't even qualify for that trophy. So if this is our chance, it's got to be this year, because I don't believe in it. I hear what Brian says, aiming for the Europa League, aiming lower, but I think this has got to be our year, because if we don't make it this year, I can't see us getting up there for a long, long time yet. That's my view anyway.
For me, I always want to win trophies. I just want trophies. I've been like that for quite a few years now. I just don't see us winning the Champions League. I get the idea that, but if you go into the Champions League and you don't make it, you drop into the Europa Cup. So I kind of get that thinking as well. So there is an argument there to say, actually, well, yeah, if you end up 3rd in your group, you get into the Europa. So I'm kind of here or there. But I think I don't see us winning the Champions League. I don't think we'll win the Europa either, but I just think we've got a better chance here. Reggie also came out with some comments this week. He was asked about his departure from Spurs. I didn't understand, and I still don't understand the situation. During pre-season, I was very happy, and Ange was happy with me also. So was the staff. I was playing like a normal player all the games. The week before I went to see him, you want me at the club? Question. Yes, I have a to-do list, and you are in my squad. It was strange because the next day I was out of the training and I didn't know what had happened. So he was told one thing and then the other happened the next day. I know I can play Spurs, but in many aspects in football, the player doesn't have control. I don't want to stay and sit in the stadium watching. I'm 27. I have too much football to live for. I don't understand why one day it's yes and the next day is no. But I don't think it's for performance reasons. I think it's another reason. This is football. This is business. Okay. Now, the reason I wanted to bring up the Reggie comments, Matt, I'll come to you first. We're told from Ange himself, I have the say on transfers. When I read this, either the manager lied to Reggie or Reggie's lying about the manager, or Ange is lying about who's actually in control. Because someone somewhere here is lying if we connect the dots. Matt, what do you make of it? Because it's not weird. It's a blatant lie from someone somewhere.
I'm in the Ange camp. I think he just comes across as he just seems to be very sure of himself. You know, every interview he seems to kind of know what he's saying, and anytime a reporter crosses a line, he's very quick to pull them up. So I don't think he leaves a stone unturned in the playing staff. And I remember the Barcelona game we played in pre-season, and he struggled. And I know you could argue, well, it's only pre-season, but he really looked poor. You know, just looked out of sync. He was in the wrong position. He was giving the ball away. He was getting dispossessed quite quickly. And I think that might have been the game that he thought, I'm not sure about this guy, because after the Barcelona game, he didn't feature in any pre-season game, and then he went out on loan. So is he better than Ben Davies at left back? Probably. But at the same time, he's thinking, he will attract somebody. Somebody will take Reguilón on loan. So I think it was one of those. There was the homegrown and the quota, and he was one that they needed to move on to get him out. So I personally think it's probably a breakdown in communication on Reguilón's side. I think Big Ange's made it abundantly clear that you won't play. Certainly this season, you're not going to feature. Hence, you're out on loan. So, bit strange the wording that he's used, but from the snippets I've seen ex-players when they talk about Ange, Harry Kewell, Schwarzer, they all say, you know where you stand with Postecoglou. So I would be very surprised if he wasn't aware that he wasn't going to be called upon.
So are you saying Reggie lied?
I think it's what's the word? He's been liberal with the truth. I just think the word. I don't understand the wording, because when you play, you would know if a manager doesn't fancy you. You would know in training. You would see it. You know, you would just get that feeling that you're not fancied.
But that's what he's saying, Matt. He's saying he wanted me. He told me yes. The next day, he told him no. That's the point, isn't it?
I think it all changed after the Barcelona game. So again, I'm confused with his wording, because he didn't play after he was. If you remember the Barcelona game, the young 16 or 17-year-old tortured him, and after that game, he never featured. He never played a minute in pre-season. So I'm just confused with. He said yes one day, and then he said no the second day. I think it was clear. He watched the Barcelona game and thought, he's not for me.
Cam?
I don't think any of them lied. I think they both told telling the truth. I think it was not in either Ange's hands or Reguilón's hands. I believe that what I said to him was absolutely true. Man United came calling. Levy wanted the money, wanted him off the book, so he just sent him off. And I can see a scenario where, let's face it, who's actually running. This opens up very clearly about who is really running the show at the back, and how much control does Ange have over everything. And actually, this really does show to us that there is a major disconnect between what we hear and what actually goes on behind the scenes. But I believe that there's no reason for Reguilón to lie, and there's no reason for Ange to lie. I mean, they were talking to. Why would Ange say to him, "You're okay," and then the next day he's not, unless somebody intervened above his head and made him change his mind? And I think that's exactly what's going on.
So someone intervened above and made the decision, then Ange is a liar because he's not in control of transfers then, as he told us.
Exactly. That's I think. Absolutely. I think you make a really great point there, because a lot of the players that have been bought in, are they Ange players? Are they the ones that he wanted? Has he had a role in them? We really don't know. We're given a sort of illusion. I think we're living in a place where there's a real illusion, and a lot of it goes to what Levy thinks is a good deal and what he thinks is how he then convinces Ange to go out there and say, "Yep, this is the player you wanted all along." And I think Levy's very good at that, like he's done to our fans. He spins you a tale and makes you think, well, it was your idea all along. And there's Ange coming out. I'm not saying Ange is a fool, but I mean, I think he knows exactly what he's got himself into when he came to work for Levy. When you come to work for somebody like when you get into bed with the devil, you're going to have to accept that sometimes the devil is going to do bad things to you. I was going to say something rude there, but I'm not probably allowed on this channel.
This channel, you got carte blanche.
The devil will take that red hot poker and stick it in places where you might not want it. I'm sorry, but that's what the devil does. When you get into bed with him, you know what's going to happen.
Brian, like, yeah, I don't know if you lot saw about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I made a comment on this channel where I said I think Ange is a yes man. I think he plays the media really, really well. And I think he plays the players well. He plays Levy well. And just maybe this is the kind of player we need at Tottenham. Someone that can juggle all these different, outlets, players, board, and media. You're going to get caught out doing it, right? Because like now, it can't all add up. But other than walking out, do you think Ange is just playing the game? He's towing the line until that day comes where either he gets what he wants or he gets sacked or he actually walks. He comes across to me like a yes man, but he's not a pushover with it. Whereas Poch became a pushover in the end. Even Mourinho, he took it. He took it when it was dished to him. He never walked. He never, what's the word? Called out the board until after he left. So what do you make of this? Because it does seem a bit weird. Reggie saying one thing, Poch saying another, Cam saying, well, neither of them have a say in this. It was above.
So I'll touch on Reggie afterwards. Let's start off with Ange. You've asked. I honestly think Ange, as every other manager all through the door, has been told things, has obviously pitched what he can do for the club, and this is what he wants, and this is what he demands, and this is what he. And then it's like, okay, we really like what he's doing. As soon as Ange signed on the dotted line, he's property of Tottenham Hotspur. What we say goes. I'm sure, like in Aladdin, the Disney film with Jafar, when he has that rod that hypnotizes people to say, I'm sure at the football club, you come in with this idea, then you walk through the doors, or they've got the Will Smith nebulizer from Neutralizer, from Men in Black, and it goes, right, yeah, that's what you did tell us, but no, this is now what is going to happen. All these managers come in with their ideas. We hear all these managers come in, and then they leave and say things. They leave and say things about how bad the club was run, how they weren't able to do this, they weren't able to do that. Yet managers still go to Tottenham Hotspur and want to work with Daniel Levy. And the same outcome happens time after time. And like you say, so like we all have our WhatsApp groups, whether it be for the Spurs, whether it be for family, whatever. They've all got fucking WhatsApps where they all speak. There is something that goes on at that football club, like the Bermuda Triangle, that never goes on anywhere else. I'm sure Ange has aired his frustrations already. I'm sure he has. Can't confirm it, but it's just towing the line like normal. And I think maybe Ange said, right, if I get you this, I get you this, you do this for me. And like I think it was Cam or Matt that said it, is we'll see this summer what happens with what Ange wants and what Ange gets. And then, because he's hit the target or got where he said he would, will he get what he said in return? We'll have to wait and see. Now, when it comes to Reguilon, with this story, do you know what? I think this is such a nothing story. And do you know what? I'm going to say it that I don't understand why people actually think Reguilon is a good player. I don't get it. When he came under Jose and he started off very, very well. Very, very well. Then after that whole Christmas where him, Lamela, Lo Celso broke COVID rules, he was abysmal. absolutely abysmal. Whether it be in a back three, a back four. He went out on loan last year under Conte. This year, he came back. He went to Manchester United, who are horrific this year. Had him for a loan with a 6-month break. Even though players were coming back and they were doing shit. No, Reguilon, you go back. You go back. And then we ship him out to Brentford. Unfortunately, I don't think he has covered himself in glory at Tottenham with things he's done. I don't think he's all that as a player, and people will go, yeah, well, he's better than Reguilon. Sesson, he's better than Davies. I agree. I probably agree, but the difference we've got is they're homegrown. They're homegrown. So to fill our quota, let's get rid of someone that's not going to play when we've got 2 English backups or the equivalent of 2 people that can now qualify for homegrown, so we can use a foreign player elsewhere. Reguilon didn't work. He came because it was all the whole part of the hullabaloo of bringing Bale back. And it's just a bad media day. So let's get some quotes from 2 people that aren't seeing eye to eye, or obviously Ange doesn't see him in his plans and he's not at Tottenham. Let's just bring this up. It's an absolute story just to fill something while Spurs aren't playing. What relevance has it got with anything, with what's going on right now? Do I care that Reguilon's at Brentford? No. Do I care whether Ange wanted to keep him or not? No. Do I care if Reguilon wanted to stay or not? No. No. It's nonsense.
Matt, before I come to you quickly, new channel members in the coma, big up Donna Cullen and to Tony Simpson. Thank you so much. Please remember, like, subscribe to Tottenham on Tour and to Spurs 9501. And if you haven't, to Tottenham away. Matt, is this just a waste of time, this story?
Yeah, look, I think he's obviously a player that's not in the plans. You know, Man United are playing Lindelof at left back, so it demonstrates what Man United thought of Reguilon. And I just think Ange early on in training must have just looked around and Ndombele, Reguilon, Rodon, and just thought that they're not for me for whatever reason. Late, Jed Spence, late turning up for training, not interested in patterns of play, not at the required physical level, whatever the reason. There's 4 or 5 that you just thought they're not for me. And maybe that's a little bit of sour grapes by Reguilon. But yeah, would anybody be upset if Reguilon never came back to Spurs in the summer? I personally wouldn't. He wouldn't register for me. I think he's still got a reasonable reputation in obviously in Europe and in Spain. So if we can get 10 to 15 million for him in the summer, that's a good bit of business. So yeah, I'm with Brian. I think it's a bit of a nothing to see here. Let's move him on. And let's reinvest that money. I think he's one that, don't forget, we've got a lot of players on loan that we need to get rid of in the summer, and he's one of them. Yeah. So, yeah, nothing to see here.
I just want to add one thing. I never want to speak about Reguilon ever again. Yeah. Hopefully we'll never see him again, speak about him again, have anything to do with him. And actually, I'm embarrassed that we had to talk about him in the first place. I do think the only issue here is losing control of our club. And that does Ange have the control that he has? There was someone made a comment on the side, and that was a really important one, I think, and that was about Ange. Is actually Ange needed Tottenham more than Tottenham probably needed Ange, because he had something to prove. He came out from it was never accepted before in the Premier League, and now he's established himself as a Premier League manager and could probably go to another bigger club at some stage. So I think that we've been good for Ange either way you look at it, and I think on that basis he's going to be a yes man, because he owes Levy. He owes him.
Point. Super chat from a user. Thank you so much. When Ange joined, he said it would be a rocky ride. We'll win some, we will lose some. The team has started to transform. Am I missing something? I don't think we've once questioned this on tonight's show. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
We haven't. Yeah. If this is just a general statement, then I think most of us agree. If this is directed at anyone, I don't remember anyone saying anything linked to this. I think
when it comes but if you go to OI-2092 624, this just sums everything up with Regulon.
Look what Gogi has done in just a few months, and then take a look at Regulon. Yeah. Here's your answer.
Yeah. That's why we never want to hear from him again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great point.
I just don't get why everyone's saying, "Oh, he's a good player. He could do well."
I think. Do you think it's more because we've had injuries and we get injuries, and some fans see Reggie as a better backup for the left attacking wing back position that we play? Because Ben Davies as a defender is better, especially when he goes into centre mid. But as the wing backs that push up and invert, there's an argument to say Reggie's much better than Ben Davies at that. So do you think that's what it's about? It's just about having a better backup for the way we play.
It might be, but if you look at it, when he's
injury prone all the time, though. He is injury prone, Reggie.
When he first came, his crosses were great. But then in the second half of the season, he couldn't cross for anything. He kept doing the let's check in and pass the ball back. And like a few people have said, the only thing I actually remember him from is, two things. One, winning the ham off Jose Mourinho because he stopped Riyad Mahrez when he first came, which was when he was great. And most importantly, that wonder of an own goal that he scored against Aston Villa. How you can do a backwards volley into the top corner, that is some techers.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
If someone said the first thing that reminds you of Reguilon, it would be that own goal against Aston Villa.
Last two things. First of all, the Aston Villa v Spurs game. There is a game this weekend, if anyone doesn't know. We've been going for an hour and 30. Haven't even talked about this, but there is a big game tomorrow. Spurs. We go away to Villa Park in the Premier League, people. Let's pick up the Premier League table. So, in terms of the impact this game has, there's a lot of play here. Let me get kind of the top 3, 4, 5 there. So we're only 5 points behind with a game in hand, although that game in hand is away to Chelsea. We know what that usually means. So we really want to be closing the gap here. A draw isn't the end of the world, but a loss probably is. I don't know what you guys think. An 8-point gap with 10 games to go. The only good thing here is Villa and Tottenham have got a very similar run-in, as in we're playing all the top 6 teams. So just to say, Spurs have got a difficult period coming up, so have Aston Villa. So it's all to play for. Plus, they're still in Europe. And they had a tough game on Thursday, which they drew 0-0. So they're going to have to really focus on that second leg. Look, Villa have got the advantage because they've got more points than us. We've got the advantage in the sense that we've got less games to play. Sorry, no, we've got the same because of the extra game in hand. So there's no advantage for us. So yeah, Aston Villa have got the advantage here. How big of a game is this? Because some fans are saying that, look, if we draw or lose, there's still 30 points to play for after that. Other fans are saying, yeah, but do you realistically see us getting a lot of points in those 30 when you look at the teams we're playing against? But the same applies to Villa. I feel, guys, that we have to win this game. I don't think a draw is enough. I think we have to win it. What's your thoughts on this, and how do you see the game itself going? Matt?
Really, really tough game. I watched the Villa Ajax game yesterday. McGinn didn't play. Torres came off of half time. I don't know if that was a precaution. But our record at Villa Park is quite good. Our record against teams that play a bit of an open game is quite good. And it's a contrast of styles. So Emery sets his team up to kind of pick your pocket and hit you on the break. And we're a team that play a possession-based football, even though that's not quite working as well as it used to. But I think, as silly as this sounds, our record away from home is better than it is at home. We've only lost 2 away games this season.
Is that Brighton? And
Wolves.
Yeah.
We've only lost 2 away games this season. So even though Villa are
that's because we haven't been away to Anfield and Stamford Bridge yet.
Yes. That is true. That is true. We've still got obviously the real tough fixtures away from home, but yeah, for me, it could go either way. I'm really fascinated. Ollie Watkins, Van der Ven Romero. I'm really fascinated with that duel because Watkins is their out ball. They suck teams in and let teams have the ball, and the moment they win the ball, they find Watkins in one or two passes. And because he's quick and he's a willing runner, he's the out ball. And once he gets it, then McGinn and them follow suit. I'm fascinated to see if we come out on top on that duel. Because if we can recycle possession and take the ball off Watkins, they then stop having that out ball. So that's going to be a really fascinating battle. I more fancy Van der Ven against him than Romero. So if we can win that battle with Watkins, who's their real form player at the moment, 2-1 either way. It's really a close game, but I think 2-1 either way.
2-1 either way. We've got a super chat here from a user again. Still thoughts on the Villa game. I'm worried. We're talking about it now. I'll give you my thoughts at the end of what I think. But Cam, so our problem this season is against low blocks. We look clueless and we don't do things like take shots from long range, move the ball out wide quickly, and we just don't have the technical link-up play yet, because it's work in progress, to move the ball quickly between the lines and pull them out of position. A bit like what City do when they pin you in.
Yeah.
We know we're going to give chances away to Aston Villa. It's going to happen. High line. They know how to exploit it. But Villa don't play low block.
No.
They push up. Now, I know against Arsenal, they were a bit more deeper and they were camped in their half. So they do have it in them to change tactic. But at home, do you see them low blocking Tottenham, or do you see them pushing up? I think they're going to push up a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely going to push up.
Is that not what we want?
Who's the underdog here? Who's the one with the minus the less 5 points? We're the underdogs here. We're not the favourites to win this game by any means at Villa Park. We already lost to them at home.
Yeah.
They're going to push up, and the way Emery's going to play this game is he's going to use our high line against us by putting those balls over and having his players running on them. And we will need everything we've got to hold them back. I mean, we know that Villa are going to get a lot of chances, and we know they've got the players that can take those chances. Are they going to score? They are definitely going to score. They score more than 2 or 3. I think they will. The problem that we've got here is, I agree with you, Stella, is that this is a must-win game for our season. It's probably the most important game of the season, as far as I'm concerned, because of the positioning on the table. I mean, if it becomes 8 points between us, then we can definitely kiss goodbye to any chance or hopes that we've got of top 4, especially with the run-ins that we've got. We get it down to 2, then I think that kicks out the momentum for the team. We've got most of the players that we want back from injury. They may not be performing as well as we need them to. I mean, I'm a bit upset about Bentancur. Just doesn't look like the player that he needs to look like for us, because he's probably one of our most influential and our most important players. And I haven't seen Maddison back to where he was when the season started, and I think they're our 2 key players here. But what Villa have got an abundance of, with the pace and the speed and the way that they play under Emery, are going to be a really difficult team to break down. I want us to win. I think them playing in Europa this week really helps us, because it tires teams out. Most teams do perform worse after having a tough game in the Europa League in midweek, and maybe that will play in our advantage. I also agree with Matt. We play a lot better when we're not under the pressure from our home fans for some bizarre reason. You'd think that we'd play much better at home, but we seem to relax a bit more and play more openly when we're away. I mean, I think the advantage for us at this game is that everyone expects us to lose, including most people who are making the comments there. So when you go in as the underdog, which, let's face it, we are going in as the underdog, and if we lose, every single one of us will probably sit here and say, well, we sort of expected that we would, which I think putting all that together gives us the best chance we'll ever have of actually winning this game. And I'm going to go for 3-2 to Spurs.
3-2 to Spurs. Brian?
Yeah.
So, when we played Aston Villa at our ground at the start of the season, we lost 2-1. However, a reminder, this was the team. Vicario in goal, he's going to be fit again. Udogie at left back, he's going to be fit. Emerson and Davies were at centre back. We've now got Romero and Van der Ven back.
Yep.
Porro, they're saying is fit, but we'll see
He's
what
fit.
happens there.
Definitely, he's fit.
He's fit, so we expect him to start. Benton, Celso, Kulusevski with the midfield. We've got them again, but this time Maddison's back, so that's an improvement. Johnson and Gill on the wings. We've now got Johnson and Werner and Son. So the big changes this time round is the two centre backs and a few more options in the attacking phase of the midfield.
Yep.
We're going into this game stronger, but we played pretty good in that game, and we're not playing pretty good at the moment. So where the team is better, the performances aren't. What do you make of this one, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is when we have our first choice back four in, we hardly lose. When they are all together, we hardly lose. That's been telling this season. The second one of them or two of them are out, then we've been having the problems. The way we play football, you can clearly, I say it all the time, you realise how badly you need these players or how good they are when they're not available and not in the team. And when Destiny and Porro aren't in the team together, the whole way we play football is doomed because of what these two give us. They are elite at what they do. They are fundamental to what we do. And as you said, Stel, at the beginning of this is going to be a game that's just back and forth, because Villa have their way of playing. We have our way of playing. There's no low block. We are going to have a pretty much full strength team out, whether Richarlison is back or whether you put Richarlison in if he is back in. I don't know what Anne said in regards to him. He could be keeping it under wraps and surprise us all there. For me, I am with you that if we don't win this game, and what Cam said, this game, don't win this game, Champions League is done. Don't win it, it's done, because you go back to the time when we were battling Leicester for the league and we had to keep matching them. We kept doing it, and then at one game, I think it was the West Brom game, we chucked it away, then Chelsea. If we get a win, like Cam said, we get this down to 2 points. If we lose or draw this, we're looking at 6 or 8 points. And Villa will know all they have to do is better than what Tottenham did the week before. Just stay like that for the whole season. Champions League is pretty much ours. And Unai Emery has done an absolutely stupendous job there. If someone has said to Aston Villa fans, and this is when we go back to Levy as well, with their relegation, everything 3 years ago, that in 3 years' time you'll be challenging Tottenham Hotspur for Champions League football and be in European football, every single Aston Villa fan would have bitten your hand off and gone, "Are you absolutely mad?" The turnaround that has gone on at that club in such a brief time is to be applauded. Listen, we all know because of the Matty Cash thing, there's a bit of an intense rivalry. I remember still when we started going, my very first away game was Aston Villa. It was the same night that Cantona flew into the stands and Jurgen Klinsmann got smashed by Mark Bosnich. That used to be our bogey ground. They used to be our bogey team in the 90s. Could not. They were. And this game for me is massive. It is absolutely massive. You're right that Aston Villa have got the same kind of, they've got to play the same teams. But unlike us, they haven't got it back to back to back. And we're going to have to fit Chelsea. The Chelsea game is going to probably go in April somewhere. Can't see it being done in March. So you're going to have to add Chelsea into that list because Chelsea is still in the FA Cup. So it can't be on a weekend when FA Cup football is being played because both teams are out. We can get that game is probably be in April. So somewhere in that list, Chelsea are going into it. So this game is vitally important. For me, Champions League, it is completely, totally, utterly win or it's done. Simple as. 10 games left, whatever amount of games left, done.
Cam, do you need to go?
Yeah, I'm just to say sorry. It's actually lunchtime in Florida, and I promised to take my daughter to lunch.
Yes,
Standing behind me saying, "Hey, where's my food? Where's my food?" So, thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed being here. Nice to see you again, Brian. Nice to meet you, Matt.
And you can.
And hopefully, it's been really entertaining. It's been really fun, and it's goodbye from Spurs 9501. And I've really enjoyed being here. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Cam, very quickly, when are you guys next doing a show? Do you know what day?
Probably be on Sunday after the straight after the Villa game. So please look out for what we do. I would really appreciate that. Love to be invited back sometime if you ever feel the need.
We'll have a committee meeting and see how it went. We'll review the.
Yeah, please don't compare me to Regulon.
More Eric Dyer. Right,
that's fair enough. Yes. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Cam.
Thank you.
Enjoy lunch. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
So, Brian, what's your score prediction?
Do you know what? My go-to this season has been 3-2 us. But also, I actually want to just a little bit more than that. Another thing that Matt said, I think John McGinn is one of the most underestimated players or underrated players in the Premier League. What he does, we were linked with him a couple of times, and I was like, get him in.
Yeah.
I think he would be brilliant in a Tottenham shirt. He is highly, highly underrated. It's a really tough question because you look at it. Our defence are back there. On paper, we should win it, but Aston Villa with Ollie Watkins and Bailey and everyone who's on fire, but also Martinez is an unbelievably good keeper. Ex-Arsenal, it's going to be a tough game, but I think it will be a high-scoring game. I want it to be 3-2, but I actually got a feeling it could be like Man City away. It could be a 3-3.
3-3. Wow. Yeah, it could be. You never know. Could go either way, right? I don't think Villa are going to sit back and just let us go put all the pressure on them and then just try and hit us on the counter. I don't think they will do that. I think there'll be moments of the game where they do it and they could hurt us because any team that is good in that final third will punish us. We saw Wolves do it, and then he needed like 2 or 3 chances.
So sorry, let me just quickly comment on that. Just one comment I wanted to make actually with that. I think a whole thing that has to do with it is East Basuma. If it's East Basuma against Wolves, we're in trouble. If it's East Basuma against Crystal Palace, who he was much more like his old self. Wasn't as brilliant as the start of the season, but he was gobbling everything up in midfield. He was dropping back. He was doing what he was showing shades of what he did at the start of the season, but not with the skills and the flicks and tricks. He had a much better performance against Palace and soaked up a lot of pressure. But I think a lot revolves around what East Basuma turns up.
I have a question. The goalkeeper and the defence picks itself. So for Stel and Brian, what's your midfield for Sunday?
Basuma, Sarr, Maddison.
I would actually go Basuma, Lo Celso, Maddison. I think this game needs a Lo Celso if he's fit.
Good shout.
But I don't listen. Whatever midfield we go with, that's what Andrew thinks is best, right? But I'd like to see Lo Celso and Maddison both play. But you know what? We're away from home. Do you know what? We tend to be more attacking away from home, like we were at Man United. We tend to be a bit more on the front foot sooner.
He went Lo Celso Kulu against Man City, didn't he? So he went along the same line.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see a bit more of an attacking player with Maddison. So even if he puts Kulu in the middle, that's cool. I could go with that. Well, what are you thinking?
Yeah, he loves Sarr, and I think the fact that he rested Sarr against Crystal Palace, and then he said after the match that he's had a little bit of a troublesome with his back, so that they're working with it. I get the feeling that he looked at the Crystal Palace and the Villa game, and I think he thought, at home, out the two, I can probably afford not to start Sarr against Crystal Palace and hold him back for the Villa game. I get the feeling it's going to be Sarr, Basuma and Maddison against Villa, because that midfield, what Brian's saying, I agree, McGinn, he's such a driving, combative midfielder that we need to match that midfield. And Kamara, who was a really good player for them, who's out for the season now, I think they've just tweaked that midfield. So McGinn's playing a little bit deeper. So he'll probably go in with Louise in midfield. And I do really rate, I think we were linked with Douglas Louise, weren't we? I think he's a really good player as well. So I think we need to be really watertight in midfield. And then as the game opens up second half, then you can sprinkle in Lo Celso and whatever else. But Martinez reminds me of Lloris the first 2 or 3 seasons. You know when Lloris was a sweeper keeper, when he was really on, he used to be out like you wouldn't believe. Martinez, anything that goes beyond Torres or Longley, he's mopping up everything. So there's vulnerabilities in both teams. I would love them to play Longley on Sunday, but I don't think they will, because I think Torres was just a precaution. I think they'll go with Konsa and Torres in mid as the 2 centre halves. I wish it was Longley, because I think he's definitely a player we could target.
Longley, definitely, because we've seen what he's like at Spurs when you go at him with pace. I don't know if you remember last season when Newcastle went at Longley at home and they beat us, and Longley got exposed. So, yeah, look, I think this is going to be 3-2 either way. I can't call it. I can see Villa winning it. I can see Spurs winning it. I don't think it will be a draw. I think there's a winner, but we're all predicting 3-3s, 3-2. So expecting a lot of goals. So what are we saying? 1-0 Villa.
I think 2-1 either way. I really think 2-1 either way.
All right, we will see on Sunday. Disabled team, respect. You don't need to super chat, by the way, guys. Thank you for a great show still, Matt Bryan and Spurs 9501. Thanks for having you with us, my friend. Hope you guys and Leeds United do well. The last thing we're going to do before we do wrap it up is your questions. That's right, people. We do ask you online before we start if you've got any questions for us, and we've got a few this week. So the first one from Verbatim, RF8ER. Is there any justification at all for offering Werner a contract when his loan expires? Who wants to take that one first?
Joe, I might as well go, because what I will do is I will say when we signed him, I actually thought, Joe, that might be a stroke of genius. I really did. I thought it could be a stroke of genius, getting a player in with his experience, his potential that we have seen back in the day. It was even going to go one way. It was even going incredibly well, incredibly badly, and I think he did well when he started. He got a couple of assists coming on. Then his shooting is horrific. Listen, when he missed that open goal, or not open goal, but that one-on-one chance against Palace, the first touch that he did was like Michael Owen against Argentina. Took it down so well, started running, and then the final product was just a mess. I was happy to see him sign on loan. I don't think I'd be happy if we saw him sign permanently.
Yeah. Listen, Matt, you go before I talk about that. I don't want to talk about Timo Werner because I get angry. My answer is no. I don't want him signed. I don't. But everyone's allowed their view. Fair play.
Yeah. Look, if Werner shot Tupac would still be alive. You know, he's he's just for me. He has.
Can I use that on Monday's show? Go
for it. If he's got moments, you know, he every now and again, you know, he done something that I don't. Someone went to slid and he just dinked it over them, and he started to run, and then I was like, "Go on!" And then he checked and knocked it back to the left back. So. I was one, as you know, Stel, that I understood the signing in January. I understood it. If you look at the situation with Son going away with the Asia Cup, if you look at the injuries to Valise, I understood that signing. Do I want that to be a permanent in the summer? Absolutely no. Yes, 15 million is a reasonable price, but I still think for 15 million there are better players. Martin Terrier plays for Rennes. What a player! Same age, 27, can play down the middle, can play left, can play right, but he actually knows what he's doing. So I wouldn't be happy with Timo Werner if he was signed permanently.
Alrighty. The next question we had was from Matthew Mattia. I think he's directing this question to me, but we can all answer. I know you're personally not a fan of Brennan Johnson, but do you think that there's a way Ange can bring out his full potential? In my opinion, he's shown a few flashes, and I don't think he's been horrible coming off the bench these past few games. Would love to hear your opinions on this. I'll go first and everyone else can speak. For me, I want Spurs to win the league. I want Spurs to win European trophies. And I do not look at Brennan Johnson and think this is a player that's going to get us to the promised land. The fact he doesn't take on a man, the fact he can only play if there's space in behind, and the fact his biggest asset is pace, for me, that's not good enough. People say, but Gareth Bale had pace. Gareth Bale had an unbelievable left foot strike, an unbelievable ability to assist, and he had skill to beat a player. Gareth Bale was more than just pace. That's why he went to Real Madrid and won them Copa del Rey, league titles, Champions League. That bicycle kick on the edge of the box in the Champions League final that Gareth Bale scored, Brennan Johnson ain't doing that. So for me, I want players that are of a higher quality to get us to that high level. If we keep Brennan Johnson and he comes off the bench and gives you a 20-minute boost of energy and impacts a game like he did against Palace, I've got no issues keeping him. None. But from what I've seen, I think we made a mistake. That's just my view. But again, everyone's got their views and opinions. Brian, how do you feel about Brennan Johnson?
I think this time next year we're talking about Brennan Johnson in a much more positive light. I don't think everyone can say, listen, the price isn't down to him, which it isn't, but we can't keep saying that. For me, Brennan Johnson was brought into Tottenham Hotspur this season to be an impact sub and to come on and do what, listen, did against Brighton, did it obviously against Crystal Palace. Sheffield United on his debut came on, had an assist ruled out for a foul, a goal ruled out for offside. He did that. He made an impact. And then when he first came, he came off the bench, then started the North London derby that you and me were at, STEL. Got injured, had a couple of injuries, came late, didn't have an Ange pre-season. And we all know, like Poch says, how important it is for players to have a pre-season under the new manager or a manager. And because of our injuries, he's just been put in a position, and mainly on the left. Remember, he did all his work for Nottingham Forest on the right or playing up top. So I think he's going to come good. I actually do. I honestly think this time next year, we're talking about him like Brennan Johnson is a first teamer. I honestly think that. I could be wrong, but I think there is a lot more Brennan Johnson has to offer. And once he comes back for the summer, a pre-season with Ange has settled, I think we see the Brennan Johnson we're meant to. I thought this season Brennan Johnson came in to do exactly what he has done well, impact from the bench. But because of everything that's happened, listen, like you said, do I see him doing the Gareth Bale overhead kick? No, I don't. But when I first saw Gareth Bale playing for Spurs and not winning for 24 games, did I see him scoring the winning overhead kick in a Champions League game? No, I didn't. Not saying that, don't get me wrong, I am not in that any stretch of the imagination saying that Brennan Johnson is going to go on to be as good as Gareth Bale. Not in a million years. But I do think there's a player there. I do think he's getting a lot of criticism unfairly. And I think that he will turn good.
Matt, before I come to you, we've got 300 people watching. Guys, smash the like if you get a chance. And make sure you subscribe to Tottenham on Tour, Tottenham Away, and Spurs 9501. Thank you very much. Matt, are you agree more with Brian that you think he'll come good?
I'm for sure. I like Brennan Johnson.
All by myself.
Yeah, I like him. I think has he performed to the level He can, no, but I think when you're building a squad, you have to have options. And I think Brendan Johnson, he's one of the only players that we've got in our squad that has that lightning pace. Now, he's not utilising that to its full capacity, and we accept that, and he probably admits that himself. But he's 22. He didn't set the price tag, and I think that's sometimes the stick that he gets hit with. 47 million waste of money, but we've got a lot of footballers, Kulusevski, Maddison, Richarlison. They come to the ball. They want the ball to feet. He's actually one of the only players that is actually better running without the ball, if that makes sense. So I think once he understands a little bit more about what we need, what Ange needs of him, I think he will start to really earn his share. I think he's a frightening prospect when he gets it right. He hasn't shown that yet in a Spurs shirt. And look, if Man City sign these players, look at Doku. I messaged you last weekend. Doku must have got past the ball 15 times per half and did very little with it and cost a similar amount of money as Brennan Johnson.
I'm not impressed by Doku yet. I'll be honest with you.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player as well. But there's that adaptation period. You know, there's a period of time that it takes a player to understand what the manager needs and what the manager wants. And I think he's in that camp. Look at Diaby at Villa. He's struggling at the moment. Bailey's playing. You speak to Villa fans, they're saying Diaby's not doing it. There's that period of time where it takes you to understand what's needed of you and to adapt to the kind of system that you're playing in. So I'm with Brian. I think this time next year, I think he's going to be a major asset for Tottenham.
There you go. Next question was, please carry on with the season ticket increase. We did that at the start of the show, Rathish. So the first kind of 50 minutes was on that. Mark Cook says, who would you have in charge if Levy was to go to Lewis? Sorry, let me start again. Who would you have in charge if Levy was to go and Lewis was to go as well? And how important is it to get the monkey off our back and win a trophy quick time? So there's two questions there. For me, I don't care who takes over from Lewis or Levy. I couldn't care less. Whether they're Saudis, Russians, Americans, Japanese, African, European, doesn't bother me. As long as they don't bankrupt us, which is what Urban Scholar nearly did, and they put the fans first. And what I mean by that is do things for footballing reasons. So if you're going to try and generate more revenue from F1, Lady Gaga, NFL, communicate with the fans as to exactly how much is coming in, where it's going to be spent, to what departments. That's what I mean by putting the fans first. You're letting the fans feel they're part of this club. Like, this is why we're doing it. Let us show it to you. Hold more fan forums. Give managers more time. Explain to fans exactly why the ticket prices had to go up and why the elderly fans concession had to go. Not explain why, justify it when we're seeing that in January we're the FFP Kings, we're the Profit Sustainability Champions, we're the richest club in London. They're tone deaf. So I guess what I'm saying is I want a new ownership to not be tone deaf, be more considerate to the fans with when they do things, and to put trophies first. So that's what I would want. I don't care who the owners are. In terms of getting the monkey off our back, listen, the longer it goes, the worse it gets. The more pressure every manager comes under, the more hate this board's going to get. So I think we need trophies now. That's my view. Brian, don't know where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yesterday I got sent the great news that Daniel Levy's son has been made CEO of ENIC in Joe Lewis's absence. So that's a wonderful thing to think about, isn't it? Someone you really want running ENIC at the moment. I'm with you. I don't care who it is. I literally do not care. But when new owners come in, one thing it will give hope, belief, anticipation, and everything that we're going to start taking things seriously, including the domestic cups. Listen, Jose Mourinho said it famously when he came to Chelsea the first time. He said he wanted the League Cup as soon as possible. It's the first trophy he could win as a manager, and it sets the tone for what's going on. Spurs seem to see these domestic cups as kind of like a side dish on a main meal. Like, yeah, we're here eating this, and we'll order these just in case we want to have a nibble. Well, no, you should be going for those trophies as important as the league, especially with our heritage and our history for them. I still can't believe it. Someone said to me last week, it was 29 years ago to the day, March the 1st, that Ronnie Rosenthal scored that hat-trick at Southampton, and I was there. 29 years ago that happened. 33 years since we've won the damn thing. We used to win it at least once every 10 years. As the famous song goes. We've gone 33 years without winning. That's the FA Cup. The League Cup is the last bit of silverware. We've all recognised silverware, obviously, without the Potsy Tiger Cup and the Audi Cup and the Water Toll trophies. If Jose Mourinho saying, I win the League Cup because it's the first cup you can win and it sets the agenda and sets the tone, well, who is anyone to say it's the right way to look at it? You want new manager comes in, you go and win that new trophy. A new owner comes in, you go win a trophy in your first year at Tottenham as new owners. My God, the fan base will be hanging off your every word and believe that you have the club's best interest at heart, not the finances, the club. So yeah, it's important that we win a trophy, big time. Still under this goddamn ownership, it's important to get that monkey off the back.
Sorry, I've lost audio. Matt, what's your thoughts? I need to swap my audio.
Yeah, anybody but Enoch and Levy for me. And people say, oh, well, morally is that, but genuinely for me, I think they've had their moment in the sun. It's time for them to take the extortionate profit that they're going to make, which is going to be extortionate, take the money, retire, and hand it on to somebody that actually wants to put the football first, you know, because it's set up in such a way now that it's a money-making machine, you know. So whoever takes over Tottenham, half your trouble's done, you know. You don't have to worry about revenue coming in. All you've got to do now is replenish that playing squad. That's all you've got to do, because the rest of the business runs itself almost. So I think he's applied for, I think they get 11, at the moment they get 11 corporate boxing or pop concerts, and he's applied for 30. So, you know, he's absolutely trying to make, you know, absolutely gazillions out the club. So for me, who was the was it Saudi gentleman that was at the stadium? There's a photo of him shaking hands. Who's that? Who's that guy?
So what I've heard about him, Matt, is obviously I don't know anything about where he's from, who he invests, but what I have heard that meeting was about is apparently the training. You know where we got Cinch on our and Get It. Those contracts are coming near the end, so sleeve sponsors, training gear sponsorship is up for grabs. So what I've heard, that dude was, I mean, that, again, that's all I've heard. I can't confirm or deny because I haven't had it officially confirmed. But that guy was all about more sponsorship, another revenue stream coming in, not to do with takeover. It was all to do with the partnership of Cinch, and I think Get Here being their final season or entering the last part of their contract, so it's up for grabs to get new potential money coming in. Shocking, eh? Shocking.
Incredible.
Surprise. We've got a super chat from Dietrich Kane who says, big up my brother Brian and Matt, not that Greek yogurt. Big up to you as well, Dietrich. I'll take your $5 Canadian. Thoughts on Eric Dyer's comments? Listen, I don't know anything about Eric Dyer's comments.
I can tell you. It's been sent to me. So, Eric Dyer, he's getting absolutely battered in the comments. So Tottenham Tears have brought something out. Eric Dyer on Daniel Levy. I find it funny when I went to the Tottenham Stadium and see Levy out. And I'm thinking, this guy over the last 10 years has built the best infrastructure in football, the best training ground, the best stadium, and a team during all of that time that stayed relatively competitive, reaching the Champions League final in 2019. You never hear Tottenham in any of those FFP conversations. It's baffling to me that a Tottenham fan would ever be upset with someone who looks after a club in that way. To which I responded saying, Eric, you can stop brown-nosing him now. You're not on the payroll. Even though he did try to save you from being sold by 5 different managers. It's amazing. Not once there did he talk about winning trophies. The main reason that he's there. Eric Dyer doing what Eric Dyer does.
Do you know, that just goes to show one thing to me, that they hear the criticism the fans chuck at the chairman. So even they know the fans aren't happy with the owners.
No,
so I take a positive from that, as in we got to you. We can get to you guys. That further backs up the thing I've said. Like, if you want to force any changes, they do listen if you double down on it and you take some action. So, yeah.
No, this is Tottenham PR doing what. Do you really think, apart from a time when within a matter of days where the club have stayed silent when season tickets have come out, let's reel out some old players and get them to speak. What business right now has Eric Dyer got to say anything on Daniel Levy? Playing in Germany, he got nothing to do with Spurs anymore, and then all of a sudden he's out dishing out quotes, crediting Daniel Levy over the last 10 years financially.
The day after the ticket news. Okay.
2 days after, yeah. This is Tottenham PR. Do you remember when Jamie O'Hara went mad on TalkSport and then Tottenham reached out to him and said, "Oh no, you can't say that. You best take that back." This is Tottenham doing what Tottenham does. You'll see some old players come out now that won fuck all at this football club, got paid handsomely, didn't compete, but will now come out and sing the praises of this prick.
So Darren Ambrose, who obviously does a lot of media work, he was quite critical of Daniel Levy about a year ago when things were really bad. And he'd already agreed deals to do certain sponsorship and whatever else, and they got pulled. And when after the second or third one he noticed had been cancelled and stopped, he said, "Look, what's going on?" And they said, "Tottenham, they're not happy with your comments, so everybody's in bed with everybody, so they've pulled Darren Ambrose." So that's how petty the commercial machine at Tottenham are, that the moment you speak out, the Sopranos come after you.
Yeah, it's all controlled. The club's been like that for ages. It's obvious, but they're losing control because there are fans who are confident being a bit more vocal, and there are channels that have grown. That, you know, we're one of them, that are doing shows and debates and talking about it. So they can't stop us. You know, this is something similar happened to Arsenal with AFTV, with all the this what do you call it? This fans that were despising the ownership. They were almost forced into doing something to keep the fans on board. Whether ours are like that or not, I don't know, because there's still a lot of fans that are on board with what they do. But
you know the funny thing about that, Phil, and I started thinking about this the other day. What I find so funny about it is AFTV, love them, hate them, watch them when they lose, whatever. They were very much behind Wenger out. like people with our YouTube channels are behind the vocal point or the part that does it on YouTube for Levy Out. Obviously, there's so many people that do so much work behind the scenes that still that don't come on YouTube because that's their personal preference. You and I were doing it before we joined the protesters and whatever, and have been very, very vocal. Arsenal were doing this to get rid of their most successful manager in their history. League up, FA Cup after FA Cup, Invincibles. You've been here too long time to go. That's their most successful. We are trying to protest against the most least successful that have ripped fans off, that don't listen to the fans, only think about themselves.
Well, if you think about it, Brian, if you think about it, when Irving Scholar was here, the fans were unanimous that enough was enough. When Sir Alan Sugar was here, the entire fan base got to the point where they wanted Sugar gone. Despite him saving the club financially, they wanted him gone. Levy has successfully divided the fan base. That's why he's still here. Because, that saying, divide and conquer. You think about it, he's been here a quarter of a century, one trophy, but it's masked because of the stadium, the academy building, the training facilities, the money, the FFP.
That we've paid for. The fans have paid for.
So
that we've cash flowed. And he gets away with it because the fans, unlike the past, we can't unite on it.
Still, it's worse. It's worse. If you look at it, especially in the Irving Scholar days, there were no mobile phones and social media. So this was organised, discussed by whatever methods they went through. Yeah. They didn't have the beauty of
telephone boxes,
YouTube,
meeting at the pub,
phone cards. You know what I mean? Literally, there were thousands of people turning up, thousands that got this message out there somehow. During the Alan Sugar days, yes, there were mobile phones, but there was no internet, there was no social media. Again, people turned up in their thousands. You and I do this online, as do others on different channels, and both our channels that preach and speak Levy out, and on use our social media platforms, whether it be our channels or our personals, to promote this stuff. Crickets on YouTube, the comments, and I get it. Look, there's people all around the world that come onto the comments and on social media and can't get to protests, so just physically can't get there, even if they wanted to. But I'm talking about the people that are at home. Thousands turned up for both Scholar and Sugar. And that was when you got to remember as well, that was when 36,000 people were going to home games.
And that's when tickets were like, what, 10, 15 quid?
Mate, my first season ticket in 95, the season after Klinsmann, I pulled a fast one, actually. I went there because I was 16 and technically an adult, but I looked younger. I went to the ticket office to buy mine, and they gave me a junior one. So I got it for £150. So my first season
before background checks and ID checks.
Exactly, before all that, I just turned up.
DNA testing.
No passport ID, just turned up with a mate going, want a season ticket? Okay, junior, how much? I was like, okay, 150 quid. 150 quid. Next season, I had to pay full price, but my first season ticket was £150 in 1995.
Times have changed, man. Guys, I do want to wrap it up, but before I do, very quickly, Brian, when's Tottenham on tour on next? What you got planned?
Like I said, at the moment, Ben's doing a lot of the morning stuff. I've been really unwell, so I haven't been able to commit to live shows or doing anything recently. I'm starting to get back. I'm going to start doing a bit more pre-recorded, but I'll definitely be back with my reaction after the Villa game from the Scotland Yard, which is going to be mobbed. And then Andrew Management will be back on Sunday with me and Johnny. And then hopefully gradually I am after, do you know what? After the season ticket news, I was like, do you know what? I need to up my Levy Out game because of my illness, I haven't been as vocal. But then when I read that thing that I read during this show, in that last paragraph about the guy saying both my parents were dead at 70, so you might only get 2 years, that's really pissed me off. So I may be a lot more vocal and a lot more visible. So stay tuned.
Guys, get over to Tottenham on Tour. Like and subscribe to the channel. Here's the link. Ben Kaufman put it in the chat earlier. Make sure you go over there and support the boys. Also, sub to Spurs 9501. Cam wasn't earlier. If you do watch this back, you'll see Cam. Pretty cool, actually. I liked having Cam on. Matt,
Yeah,
you can have a final say before we call it.
Yeah, look, I think I've said this to you before, Stal. I think as insignificant as you think it might be, I think what you guys did, the message, the consistency of your message, what Brian has done. I live in Birmingham, but trust me, a lot of people took notice. A lot of people. So continue what you're doing. I think it's an unbelievable message what you're portraying, and it got to him. It absolutely got to Levy. That message, that level of discontentment reached him, and we need to continue on that vein because this leopard will not change his spots. So we have to always remember that even if we get top 4, even if there is an improvement in signings in the summer, Daniel Levy will revert to type. It's in his DNA. He will revert to cheap. He will revert to real estate FC. So we have to continue on this vein. Everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have, do it again when you leave to make sure. These guys work incredibly hard, and just keep supporting, because if we want to make change, we have to be consistent. And that's what we want. We all want Tottenham to be successful. And unfortunately, the evidence shows that with Daniel Levy at charge, we will not be successful. So there has to be a change. If we change manager, why can't we change the owner? If Daniel Levy managed Daniel Levy, he would have sacked him. Daniel Levy would have sacked himself by now.
100% he would have sacked himself about 10 times.
He would have sacked himself by now. 20-something years, he would have been sacked by now. So, just keep doing what you're doing, Stal and Brian, and don't listen to the background noise.
Never fazed by that. Big up to Brian Daigle, big up to Matt, big up to Cam. Also, new channel members Inakoma, Donna Cullen, thank you so much. And Tony Simpson as well. We had some super chats in from Donna Cullen, a user with a couple, the disabled team, and Dietrich Kane. Big up to you guys as well. Everyone in the chat, as always, big up. We will be back on, I believe, Sunday. We've got a show, Aston Villa v Spurs, late night show. They're normally good shows, these. These are actually really good shows. 9:30, we'll be live on Sunday night, about 5-6 hours after the match. Come join us if you wish. Otherwise, chaps, another game on Sunday. Let's see what drama unfolds for us to talk about on the weekend and on Monday.
Let me just say, and as always, Levy out.
Levy out. Come on, you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.